In January 1985, a large suitcase was discovered at the customs office of the Los Angeles International Airport. Inside the suitcase was the dead body of an unidentified young woman. U.S. Customs agents who discovered the body immediately launched an investigation. What they discovered was a horrible tragedy that resulted from the desperate desire for freedom. The dead woman was the wife of a young Iranian man living in the United States, and she wanted to join her husband, but she was not able to obtain a visa. So she squeezed herself into a large suitcase and placed on a jet headed for the United States. Even if she had survived the journey in the cargo bay, she would have remained an undocumented alien, spending the rest of her life looking over her shoulder, fearing discovery. She died a lonely death, squeezed into a tiny space in the cargo hold of an airplane. As we prepare to celebrate our nation's birth, it would be good for us to remember the people, including many of our own ancestors, have gone to extraordinary lengths to make America their home. Our nation has always been greatly attractive to the rest of the world. Many come here looking for work. They were tired of eking out a subsistence living on their own land or the land of some rich landowner. And they knew that this really is a land of opportunity for those who come here and work hard and become an asset to community and country. Others lived in lands or live in lands torn with crime or outright oppression by their own government. They come here looking for security. You know, few people these days die in wars between nations. Most that die from violence are killed either in crimes, or they're the victims of terrorism, or they're the victims of violence of their own governments. But there's another reason people would risk their very lives to come to this land. Freedom. That's what America has stood for more than anything else since its founding 200 years ago. It was founded by a group of folk who had an amazing vision of a better way of structuring government. Government of the people, for the people, by the people. Freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of worship, freedom to pursue one's dreams. We dare not take these things for granted. And so, in 2 days, on the 4th of July, we're going to enjoy picnics and parades and fireworks to celebrate, as generations before us, the gift of freedom. You know, if you stop and think about it, for us Christians, every worship service ought to be a celebration of freedom. The most important freedom available is the freedom that only Christ can bring. Freedom from sin and death. Freedom from fear and failure. Freedom from anger and vindictiveness. You know, maybe we ought to replace the call to worship with fireworks. And instead of Matt playing as he does so well as a prelude, maybe we ought to have a brass band. Why? Because nearly 1,800 years before my ancestor fought in the Revolutionary War, someone else died for our freedom. on the cross of Calvary. A man named Jesus, a young carpenter from a no two-bit, no account town of Nazareth, gave up his life to free us from every scourge that would crush our spirits and bring us down to subhuman activity. The Apostle Paul says, you have been set free from sin. You know what that means? Now, Paul uses the image of slavery. Paul lived in a world where slavery was practiced on a widespread basis. Some folk were enslaved because they've been conquered by others. Others were enslaved because they couldn't pay their debts. But everybody the Apostle Paul was writing to in that first audience knew the life of a slave was a miserable one. Imagine living at the whims of a master who, if he or she chose, could be cruel and vindictive. One who could whip you, or banish you, or even have you killed. And of course, Paul himself knew what it was to be bound in chains while languishing in prison. Now, you and I may have difficulty relating to slavery. You know, that's been abolished in our country for a long time. I did not know. I've been to the Statue of Liberty. Maybe they told me this, but I guess I forgot it. I did not know until I was doing some preparation for this sermon that the Statue of Liberty has that image of broken chains at the base of Lady Liberty. Did you all know that? Probably none of us will ever wear chains around our arms or legs, or even worse in some instances around our necks. But I did read an amusing story about an artist named Trevor Corneliuson, 26-year-old man who discovered what it was like. Trevor's an artist, but you know, I've noticed artistic talent and common sense don't always come together in the same person. He decided one day he wanted to paint a portrait of his ankles as they would look bound in chains. So he got a heavy chain and a sturdy lock from a local hardware store, and he proceeded to bind himself securely as if he were a prisoner. Only one problem. When he finished doing that, he couldn't find the key. Now, that wouldn't have been such a big deal if he'd have been at home, but Trevor was camping all by himself in a remote area of California. And it took him 12 hours to hop through the desert to a gas station in order to get some help. Now, you know, probably never, I hope you never have chains on you like that. But there are many people in our land who live as if they are bound with chains. People have become so addicted to substances or a host of other vices that have preyed on humanity since the dawn of time. And a recovering addict will tell you that the first step to overcoming an addiction is to acknowledge that the addiction is taking you prisoner. And of course, you can become addicted to a host of activities. I'm beginning to wonder if some people are becoming addicted to their smartphones. Now, may be a rather benign addiction, but I understand in England they've decided to try to protect smartphone addicts from themselves. In 2008, London began establishing what they call safe text streets, and one feature of those safe text streets is padded lampposts to keep people from running into them while they're texting their friends. And in Barb's and my recent ventures through airports just not long ago, mean, I saw lots of people scurrying along, looking at their smartphones, not paying attention to anything else and anyone else around them. You know, those of us who were paying attention, we needed to get out of the way, and you hope that one of those electric golf carts wasn't going to go in there and just run them down because they weren't paying attention. Some addictions, though, can be good for us. Some folks are addicted to exercise, which most of us, if we're honest, could use more of. Psychologist William Glasser wrote a book several years ago titled Positive Addiction, and he noted how some people actually improved their lives through developing what he called addiction to positive behaviors. And that's what the Apostle Paul is saying in our letter, in our lesson from his letter to the Romans. He's saying we can be addicted to sin. And that includes everything that would pull us down in from being what God created us to be. Or we can be addicted to God, who will help us, if we'll let Him, increase our sense of well-being, and give us something wonderful to live for. That's the ultimate addiction, being bound by chains of love to God. There's no greater freedom in this world than the freedom that God gives through Jesus Christ, whether it's freedom from a debilitating habit or freedom to simply be the very best person we can be. There's something about being connected to Jesus that allows us to experience a richness of life that those without Christ are never going to experience. Some years ago, I met a guy named Steve Beard, who's the editor of Good News Magazine. Now, if you know anything about Good News and Good News Magazine, and then you saw Steve Beard, you'd say there's a bit of a disconnect there, because Steve's one of those guys with multiple piercings and tattoos. Steve has an interesting ability to link Christianity with popular culture, particularly rock music. And he wrote an interesting column about the recent Nobel Prize winner and legendary folk rock singer Bob Dylan, shortly after Dylan was nominated for the Nobel. And he noted that not long ago, Rolling Stone magazine asked Bob Dylan what song you wanted to hear on his deathbed. And you know what Dylan's answer was? It wasn't any of the songs he recorded. He said, how about Rock of Ages? Steve Beard thought it was fascinating that Bob Dylan, the eccentric man that hippies christened as a prophet of the 1960s, for those of us that can remember that far back, still sings songs from his gospel album. Maybe we shouldn't be all that surprised. A few years ago, Dylan was opening a lot of his concerts with the song I Am the Man Thomas. For those of you that are fans of Southern gospel music, that's an old Ralph Stanley song. You can find a YouTube video of Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys performing that song. It's a song about a conversation between Jesus Christ and the Apostle Thomas, called, often referred to as Doubting Thomas. Let's listen to just a little bit of it.
I don't know what you got to hang on to, but I got something called a solid rock to hang on to. That was manifested in the flesh and justified in the spirit and seen by angels, preached on in the world.
song that he would open a lot of concerts with called the Solid Rock. And in that song, Dylan's sometimes one of those challenging singers where you got to listen carefully to catch what he's saying. But he said, "For me he was chastised, for me he was hated, for me he was rejected by a world that he created, while I'm hanging on to a solid rock, made before the foundation of the world. And I won't let go, I can't let go, I won't let go." Bob Dylan's background is Judaism. But his spiritual path, like a lot of his generation, led him into an array of philosophies and religions since then. And it sure sounds like at some point he was converted to Christ. And he really is addicted to Jesus. And that can happen. Maybe it's happened to you. Maybe sometime in your life you were addicted to one of the many vices in this world that lure people and then chain them up. One day you met Jesus. And he took the chains of addiction off. And he set you free. To be a new person with a new heart and a new spirit. Maybe you were born with a different kind of addiction. Maybe you were bound by self-righteousness and a condemning spirit. Maybe Christ has set free that spirit in you now to love and to be loved. Whatever your situation, there is one that longs to take off any chains. Even if it's simply the chains of a meaningless and self-centered preoccupation with yourself and what you want. Jesus can help you make a new start. He really does want you to live the fullest life God intends for you, filled to overflowing with a joy that surpasses understanding. Today's the day that can happen. Today's the day when you can celebrate the chains off. If you'll join your life to Christ, then you'll be able to say those powerful words that we once heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! I'm free at last. Let's thank God for freedom this day. And let's open our hearts to the one who gives us freedom in the now and in the forever. Freedom from sin and freedom to love God and love others. That's what we celebrate today. Particularly as we celebrate the liberation, the freedom that comes as we share together in the Lord's Supper.